What's up, guys? This is Alex from halfheardvoices, and you're listening to John the Ninja podcast. Check out our song, Neon Nailbomb, on YouTube, Spotify, whatever your favorite streaming platform is.
My notes. But ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's John the Ninja. Now, I had to dress up a certain way because the publicist that sent me these two individuals, she does not play around. She gets the best, she works with the best because she is the best. But for her to take away from the business and say these are two of the nicest individuals you will ever meet, I had to take notice. I had to sit down, plant myself. And let me tell you, Leesburg, Virginia, stand up. I'm telling you, because even though one of the members in this band doesn't think glasses are rock and roll, which I would strongly refute to him. They shred and they are so good that their songs are immortalized not just through the lyrical content that they drop through their EPs, but they're so good they even dropped instrumentals of the EPs, and those are doing fire. They were founded in 2019, literally, even though it says 2019 as a whole. They started in the guitarist's basement when he was a young man with the bassist, and they have painstakingly gone through every single avenue to bring you the best rock they can. They're progressive rock innovators that go through the tedious cinematic story they can to get you the best live performance. I'm telling you, they got a whole hour special on talking about how they did the lighting. It was fantastic. Guys, the band I am talking about is Half Heard Voices, and the two gentlemen that I have with me right now are Alex Conner, their singer, and Dillon Baird, Esquire. No, he's not a lawyer, even though he should be, but he is a drummer, a guitarist for the band, and he's a big portion of their writing. Now, usually I go into more details about the band, but I really want to strike home how amazing these guys are. Their latest single, Neon Bomb, is very vertical and in different ways, different aspects. It really tackles not the usual progressive sound that you're used to. So we're going to get to it, and plus there's other things that they have in store for this talk. So without further ado, guys of Half Heard Voices, welcome.
Hey, oh, pumped to be here, man.
What's
Oh,
up?
no, not the beer. See, I told you there was so much I wanted to discuss with you guys about that because Dylan, I know you used to manage a bar, and I'm a big Philly kid with my IPAs. I don't know if you ever heard of Tired Hands. So I had to know what you prefer to drink, and you included, Alex, if you're on the same train. Because the band, you guys, when you're on tour, you're very serious. You guys don't party. You guys are, I wouldn't say straight edge, but you're very, very focused. So even if you do
Mm.
have a beer,
Well, dude, I like to party, to quote Hot Rod. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a lager guy myself, like kind of middle of the road, like a little more flavored than your typical like domestic Pilsner, but something like the Vienna lager type, stuff. That really does it for me. But I do go for a good IPA every once in a while, man. It's just like not something I'll drink all night for sure, or I won't be getting up in the morning. You know what I mean?
I'm a Coors Light guy, or like an ice cold Heine when I'm chopping some wood.
He's an
Um,
American, damn it.
I mean, no, man, like the bar that I work at, we have a lot of like high proof rocket fuel type beers. And I'm just like, man, I just want to see a Coors Light pool up there because I mean, that's my speed. I'll drink anything twice, but yeah, dude, Coors Light or a Heine, that's my speed right there.
that's fair. My IPs tend to not be as heavy, but you get that nice, cool drink from the Coors Lights. I don't diss the lights too much. Sometimes you just
Mm.
want beer, but you don't want to get trashed. So that's the area of IPAs I go for. But gentlemen, I also have to ask, because Dylan, I wanted to know if you were a Star Wars fan. This is the new thing I always ask everybody. So, Star Wars, Star Trek, because going through your past and seeing like how very good you are with numbers and stuff, it just kind of led me down this idea of like maybe he's really into science as well and really bashing other ideologies because the Pythagorean theorem is not an easy concept to get. Theory really destroyed me on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny story. This goes back early 20s, and I was continuing education, and I've always had a fascination with science, anything with physics. But my scientific, uh, how do you want to say it? I'm not very receptive to numbers, and that might contradict what you're saying there. But I wanted to get into forensic science. I wanted to be involved in crime scene. And when I saw the STEM program and what all the prereqs and everything that I was required to do, um, I couldn't do it. Like I dropped out my first semester just because of just how my brain works as far as one absolute solution that just doesn't work for me. So I leaned into the medical field and I became a phlebotomist. And I did that for about 7 years. Uh, kind of worked into nursing school for a little bit and realized that I'd rather just do music full time, namely because I was in a mathematics prereq, and there was this guitar I saw at the local guitar shop down in Beltsville, Atomic, and I couldn't stop thinking about that guitar. So I just left class, told my professor, I'm like, hey, I'm out. Bought that guitar, and it was shortly thereafter that Half Heard Voices actually uh, started putting legs on the ground.
Now, did that guitar have anything to do? Because part of the story is Stefan. You guys started jamming together, you did music, but then he went to Berkeley, you went your own way, and then of course you went down the medical route and started doing that. But you were, and I think you were vindicated, but not really vindicated in this thought. You were sitting there when he asked you to join and play a jazz fusion and help those guys from Berkeley, and you're like, well, don't you have a pick of the litter? And in my mind, I don't know if I would have said the same thing. I would have been like, wow, I'm flattered that you guys think I'm at your level. So when you were thinking of that guitar, could you relay what that guitar is if you still got it? And then could you tell me if that was a huge portion of like when it was still clicking in your mind, like, I gotta get that guitar, I gotta get that guitar. A lot of that backbone was like, and I'm gonna play jazz with it, or was it a different feel?
It funny enough, I actually didn't play guitar with that outfit with Steph when he was up at Berkeley. I was on drums. And yeah, I mean, when he asked me that was exactly it because I was like, dude, you're with, the best of the best. In my opinion, I took a couple theory classes in college, but nothing that was really directed towards performance or anything outside of the like some standard learning how to read sheet music kind of stuff. And but I said to myself, I'm like, well, this is an awesome opportunity just to travel, gig with musicians who I know I'm going to learn from, and to see my best friend. So it all paid off in that aspect. And funny enough, I learned more about guitar playing drums with that band, Al Joseph,
Hmm.
I have with any other, music teacher teaching me guitar. So that was also an eye-opening experience as far as just say yes to the gig because you're not sure what you're going to get out of it, even if there's like a prime directive or a job that you have to do, you're going to get something far more valuable out of something working with people who are above, at the time above my skill level, and I mean those cats still are. Uh, so that was a big moral for me is just say yes. Just say yes. You can always say no later. You don't want to say no, but if it ever gets to that point, you always have that, you still have that opportunity.
Every time I think of drumming now, because I didn't get to do a full kit in school, but I did play the bass and I played snare when the songs would allow if we weren't uh, doing competitions. And I always think of Whiplash and we did not have a terrible conductor. We had a guy who loved it, loved us, and he put in the effort to teach us. But I always think of it was the same high pressure, high stakes, like we need to do this as a collective. And moving on to another idea, Alex, I need to ask you some influential questions. I need to ask you some questions about how you grew up, man. Because Dylan's put it out there, man. We know
Shoot
his
it out.
his
Yeah.
top people are like Megadeth, Killswitch Engage. He was at the first Ozfest with his family, but you've still been able to be a little bit more elusive in interviews as far as your influences and who really got you to want to do this. You have your influences that get you into the music, and then you have the artists you can see, like, oh yeah, I just ripped from them. So could you tell me how you fell into this music? Because I really wanted to praise your voice. It is so different in the perfect of ways. It's like Ronnie James Dio with Sabbath. It's different, but
Holy shit.
Sabbath.
Well, I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm actually from a rural area of Southern Virginia, Franklin County. It's the county south of Roanoke, and I had this super long bus ride because, like, it's just miles of woods, and then you finally get to your school, and it's like when you have a bus full of people on those roads, it takes forever. So I would just sit and listen to music on my CD player, and I think that's where I really got my appreciation for like technical prog metal type stuff. Because I would just sit there and listen to these albums over and over again, and that's like where I got into like Between the Buried and Me. Like I listened to Colors, I would listen to that all the way through and like just analyze every riff, every part. Um, I, I mean the real like the real coming of age, I think, was like I was like 13 or 14, and I saw Avenged Sevenfold's Backcountry on MTV right in the morning. I was like eating my cereal or something, and before school, and that was like one of the things that was one of those songs that made me be like, dude, I want to do music. I want to play guitar, and yeah, I grew up playing guitar. That was like my main instrument, but I started taking vocal lessons around the time I was 14 as well, because I've always had an interest in that. I actually come from a family of musicians. My dad's a singer and guitarist. My brother's a singer and guitarist. So like we always had Metallica, the Beatles, Talking Heads, all sorts of music, you know, jamming. Like my parents, when they would clean, they'd be putting some stuff on the stereo, and so yeah, music's like always been a big influence in my life. Um, but yeah, uh, like I said later, as I took my own route, I got into pretty progressive metal, and so between the Buried of Me and then like Periphery started becoming really big at the time I graduated high school. And but I knew like, dude, I would get my Guitar World CD and like I'd get that in the mail and I'd like run up to my desktop computer that's in the living room because that's how computers were back then, put the CD in and then watch like Trivium and whoever like just learn the riffs. Bet you can't play this or whatever. And yeah, just really dove into those aspects of guitar. Um but I also like knew even back then, right? Like people were downloading music and pirating it. I knew like I should probably try and get a college degree so I could make some money to then do something with music. Like I knew even my favorite artists were like, we don't make that much money. And so I took that as like, okay, I might as well do something. I might as well go to school and like have that like solid backup plan, right? And then just try to live that double life where every spare moment I have, dedicate that to music. And yeah, still sticking to that to this day. And I will say it's tiring. And that's something Dylan and I were talking about earlier. It's like, yeah, maybe we could talk about how real life is just for musicians is just working to get to you can actually play music and pay for recording costs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And you guys mentioned too, now you're starting to see the dividends from your hard work. Maybe not be the money, but the experience, the opportunity. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
wanted. Man, you're hitting hard with the guitar magazine, Guitar World with AC/DC. They had Sabbath and Page on it. Man, I still gotta hug it every day. But
Mm.
you guys have really gone through these wonderful transitions. Before you joined, Jeremy actually joined the band. You guys were in a different band altogether. And then for the second EP, they kind of tried to bring you guys in, and you kind of cold shouldered them, Alex. And I found that interesting because now your friend was like, yo, man, you need to check this out. And you're like, well, you were trying to find yourself. And I wanted to know what that process was like. Because usually that's the life. You bounce from one band to another. You work with a different musician every day. I just wanted to know where you were in your life.
That's so funny. Yeah. So like shortly after I graduated college and moved to like the Northern Virginia area, um, I did what I'd always done, which is like find musicians through Craigslist, and that took me up to Frederick, Maryland, and I found Jeremy's post. He was looking for a vocalist, and Jeremy is like a salt of the earth, like heart of gold type dude. And yeah, so I was working with him and his childhood friend Ashley, who's a killer drummer. But we played in this band, Inoculum, which is kind of more of like a groove metal type of band, very Mudvayne type of influence. And yeah, like I'm just very much like a do one thing and stick to it kind of guy. And they invited me to like Dill and Steph. I don't remember who. Yeah, I guess it was Jeremy who initially asked me like if I wanted to try out for Half Heard Voices, which I turned down because I didn't I didn't know the guys as well at that point, and also I was just trying to, stay loyal and stay steady with Inoculum at the time, right? And it's funny, like the I don't really believe everything happens for a reason, but right around the time that band was kind of coming to its head and eclipsing, uh, Half Heard had put out their first EP, right? I don't know if you listen to the different, if you listen to the different albums, right? I'm not on Dissidents, like the first one. That's like our buddy Zach did some killer fucking screams on it. Our producer and mixer at the time, Derek, did some amazing cleans on it, and I listened to the whole EP, and I was like, damn, this fucking rocks, dude. This is some good music. And I was just like super amped on it, and I actually didn't make any assumptions that like, I would join the band at any point because it seemed like they were doing quite well as they were. But they gave me the Jeremy came back again and asked again if I wanted to join, and I was like, yeah, let me try out, and yeah, from there's history.
Dylan, you are somebody that you see the best in everybody and you want to tap into that and you push and you're gonna get it. But when we had Alex join the band, he had to kind of pull the reins back. He's like, dude, it's kind of like hip hop. I can't do this every single live show. Like, we gotta pull it back. I wanted to know what that dynamic was, considering that you guys had basically the best of the best in the genre you were working on. But now you're combining your two skills, like he said, he didn't know you guys that well. So now it's a stranger you're dealing with. What was that dynamic like for you trying to be like, hey, you could do it? Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Well, why don't we try this? How was navigating that field?
Yeah. First and foremost, we hired Alex because he's the best looking guy in the band. I'm just kidding.
Shut up,
And
you.
we're like, we need a really good looking dude to front this band. And bringing Alex in, and I've learned over the years of us just becoming very close friends, is that Alex wants to do everything the best. He wants to make sure it is the best it can possibly be. And when it came to vocals, and this still we as of recent over the past couple of weeks and months writing this album and putting our heads together for certain vocal parts, I was always and still will push Alex to just go harder as far as not feeling so shy with different vocal parts or like being encouraged to go outside of what Alex is comfortable with. And even the comfortable lines and comfortable style that Alex has all these years, and it's amazing, I still am like, you can do more. Try this, try that. Try and sound, and
I'm a baritone, and every album the vocals just keep getting higher and higher because everyone just keeps like.
and
I think Dylan's just secretly tuning his guitar up a key every album, and so that I have to go higher up in the scale. Yeah.
it's not just getting high notes. I love R&B. I love hip hop, and especially in gospel as well. And the vocals, I'm not a vocalist, but I love vocal bumps. I love that, like, uh,
A little
Gregory,
riff,
yeah,
little
Gregory
raz.
type stuff, man, where like you can feel the soul and you could feel it move. And there was a lot of that over the years. I'm like, man, just make your voice, try and like see if you can make it sound like a guitar vibrato or like a bend in or a pre-bend or something, using these images to add to what your current identity is and see how that's going to morph your inspiration. So it was a very very interesting process because I'm more I'm like a dog. I'll chase a car. I don't know why, but I'll just do it for the fun of it. And Alex is very calculated. Every note has a reason for a good reason. But I'm more like, let's see if we can just fuck this up real quick. Let's see like what comes out the other end. Let's see what's in the sausage, man, and just put more in there. So it's a great dynamic, especially, my style of guitar. I'm not like mega fast shredder. I know my limitations. I know what I want to sound like. So I really lean in to making my guitar kind of sound. I try and make it sound like vocals. So it's fun for me to put that onto Alex and challenge him, be like, hey, let's see how far we can push this. And let's
Dill's very
see.
humble. He fucking shreds. There's no doubt about it. So
I mean,
don't let him fool you.
that's just it. Like everyone in the band, it's like let's see how much we can push each other. Let's see what different sounds we can get while still leaning into what makes us ourselves.
You were initially starting to write for the band, okay? We're pulling all the way back to the first EP, the second EP. You were going through a lot. You were finding yourself. We'll touch on those subjects in a moment, but I wanted to know how Alex was able to translate. I always think of Anthrax, where Scott Ian was going through tough times. He had a divorce and he had a lot of negative energy, and Joey Belladonna just wasn't doing it for him. So then they changed gear and got John Bush. And I always think of like, okay, what's the songwriter going through and how is the vocalist able to translate? Alex, were you aware that Dillon was just coming off of all these struggles? Dillon, were you able to convey that to him? How was that in trying to get the sound in your head onto vocals?
I don't know if I was explicitly aware of the struggles, the the whole quitting the nursing school story, which Dill likes to tell, but
It's classic.
where he quit to like literally go get that guitar. But I kind of take it as a given, honestly, for anyone who's doing music, just because there's just no money in it. You have to love it to do this, to want to be into this. But the transition to Half Heard was so natural, I think, because these I was finally finding guys who did like the kind of music I wanted to do, and Dill writes at a quality, at a level that like I'm 100% happy and proud, like to put my name on it and associate with it, right? Because he throws everything into it. Um, like I like to try to do. So it felt like everything clicked, and we have like almost all the same influences, and we think about things like very much the same way. Uh, Dill is, I mean, that's the crazy thing about him, right? He's a drummer first, right? At first, and then a guitarist, but he's amazing at both, and it's just not fucking fair.
It's just
And
ass
like, but
backwards.
I don't, so like, I mean, first EP that I was on, which was 12 Way War, dude, Dill did, he recorded the drums for that in one take. Like there's literally no other takes for that, right? Or maybe you did it a couple times after just to have, I think, but
Yeah,
literally
just some
he
retakes.
did one take, and it was like there was no like, oh fuck that up, gotta do it again or whatever. And Jamie King, he's a drummer. He records Between the Buried and Me and like pretty much any prominent prog band from prog metal band from the East Coast. Like he's recorded them, and he was just like, so you guys are trying to do this for real, right? Like he picked up on that, and he was super into it. So that was you know anyway, Dill kicks ass, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But
I do it out of fear. I perform out of fucking fear, man. Like this last this last album, we are our upcoming LP. Um, our I had to step in and record drums just because of scheduling. It was fast approaching, and our previous drummer left after our tour with Alisana. And I'm looking at the days. I'm like, well, I know we have some badass drummers that we can send these tracks to and have them learn it and send them to the studio. But I'm like, man, I've been listening and writing to these tunes for a year and a half now. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it again. So the only and funny story, I don't have any drums. I don't own drums anymore. So the only time that I play drums, it's when I go and teach, which is only 2 days a week. So I would get to the studio early, and I'm playing on this practice kit with practice heads, no double kick, and I would just go for it as much as I can, teach in, practice in between lessons if I had a break. So when I got to the studio, Mystery Ton, first time playing double bass to any of these tunes, I'm just like, here we go, deposits paid, I'm on the clock. It's just like do or do not. Um, and I'm not sure what that makes me think of myself, but I just think it's something great to look back on, and I can listen to those tracks and I can, pinpoint. I was like, I was scared for my life during this one part because you're looking at the time. It's like, all right, we have 1 hour left for today. You gotta nail it. You just gotta do or do not. Gotta just stand and deliver. And drums, the drum setting, gotta sit and deliver.
There was a time you were living in a van. There was a time you had to come to grips with your own, not just insecurities, but your own problems that were causing you to be in a situation. And you were still blaming other people for it at the time. And there is a transitional sound from the EPs to the music. Even when I hear Neon Bomb, it's like, that is an amazing style of like, hey, this is still us, but hey, we're leveling up. It's the same band, but a different sound. And I thought that was fascinating. Do you think that the fear and I'm trying to think of the do or die statement, but basically the pressure helps now with the writing process to keep it in line of that emotional strength that you've had in the other EPs?
Absolutely. I believe, and this is something that I came to terms with where, for some reason, I felt like I had to be pissed off to write and to come up with great material or things that when I listen back, when I listen back to it, it says to me, that's what I meant to say, or that's what I'm thinking right now. Lyrics and, what the song actually sounds like, if it's like if it's a happier sounding song or a sadder sounding song, doesn't matter. Like listening to that was like a solution to the things that I was feeling. And then, as I was writing this last album, I realized, hey man, I'm just pissed at myself. And it was easy for me to blame other people. And that was giving me the fire. And uh, you know, I believe it's like, well, if I'm not pissed at someone, I'm not going to be able to write well. But coming out of the other end of it, I'm just like, oh, these are my own problems. This is me. And that was empowering in the fact I'm like, okay, this is like a new fire. So now it's like, I'm writing not angry at anyone for the wrong reasons. It's just I'm writing because I want to. I'm writing because I'm free of myself at this point now. And this is something, actively working on it. I'm not a robot. It's not one day. I'm like, okay, I've forgiven myself. It's ongoing, but I think that has turned a page as far as how I'm writing and why I'm writing. And so now I can listen back on this next album and I can appreciate it in a whole different shade. I can look at it in a different scope and be like, this is really what I meant to say because I understand what the real reason was I wrote it, you know?
And we love Philadelphia where we're at. We the Philly through and through. And it was a concert in Philadelphia. You talked to a fan. You said he was a true fan that made you
Yeah.
realization. Could you guys relate to me what gig that was, what the venue was, both persons' experiences, and were you able to get a hold of that fan? Because a lot of the time we hear things and we just when you hear it, you kind of just say things that you're like, oh man, that sounds evil or that rips or that's but the way he said it, you had to recognize like he said it sounded a little evil. It sounded like something was going on. And that really struck me as I'm like, I wanted to know if that fan was legit in his feeling, like, no, I could feel it, or he was just saying that as if like, hey man, that's cool. I really
Yeah.
was curious about the Philly gig for both of you guys.
Yeah, man, that I get chills thinking about that every time. And it was oh my God, I forget the
Was this the
name.
Soulfly tour?
It was Soulfly. It was at that big open air.
I'm looking for it.
Um,
Uh, I remember
but
that show because that was an interesting show
fucking dope.
because it was one of those ones where everybody was like pretty much crickets and like standing still. Um, but then it ended up being like one of our best like merch like nights, and everybody just came up to
Yeah.
us and were like totally like yeah, like we definitely sold a lot of stuff that night, and it was just so funny because I was like, dude, I could not gauge. People will clap and cheer or whatever between songs, but when they're not moving, sometimes it's hard to gauge that energy, right? And that's something that we kind of had to come to terms with too, as metal musicians. It's just like sometimes you just want to watch, and
Mhm.
I think I know when I see a good band, a lot of times I'm just standing there, right? I'm just taking it in. And if it's something new, you just want to take it all in and observe. So I think it's kind of that vibe sometimes. I'm trying to find what it was. It's not Electric
Yeah.
Factory, is it?
But
No.
no, what
But
you're saying though, Alex, that's like I think about when I went and saw my favorite band, He Is Legend, and I caught myself just in the corner, just standing there, just enjoying it. I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like, I don't. It's not like an age thing where it's like, oh, I don't want to move and I want to, do this. It's like, I believe that our music is just more enjoyable to most who just want to listen to it. We throw down, we do have some breakdowns and heavier parts, but um, that speaks volumes as to the kind of music that we're writing. And I believe that we're around it so much that we forget about these riffs and how beautiful and how moving they can be. Because that's the whole MO. It's like, you know, we really don't write music for people to throw down. We write music for people to enjoy it and connect to and, have them feel something other than just wanting to, mosh.
Heaviness is an aspect, but
Yeah.
we try to hit all the spectrums
Yeah.
of emotions.
But that fan, he came up to me and he said that he's like, man, I could see the evil in your playing, something along those lines. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said it again. I could just see and hear the evil. And once again, I mean, that's your true colors really come out on stage, and you can, go through what you're going to do in each song, body movements or when you're going to do crowd calls and stuff. But I can't speak for anyone else but me. I can't control the way that I feel or the way that people are gonna perceive me on stage. And for someone to be like, dude, there's some evil in your playing during a time where in hindsight, I wasn't doing too well with my thought process as far as my views on the world. That spoke a lot to me. I'm like, holy shit. Okay. All right. I get it now. And I never did reconnect with him. I don't even think he bought a shirt, but he came up to me. I was next to the freaking taco truck and talked to him for a few minutes, and away he went. So if, sir from Philadelphia, if you're watching this, reach out, shoot us a message, man. I'd like to chat.
get you a shirt, man. I mean,
Yeah, get your shirt.
you called him a true fan. He didn't even get a shirt. He better have left with a CD or a sticker. That little.
Hey, sometimes people are going through hard times, and it's honestly though, if somebody comes up and is like totally genuinely into it, like I'm more appreciative of that than, someone who just is buying a shirt just to buy a shirt, right? But
Grateful
obviously
either
I'm
way.
very appreciative of both
Yeah.
because the shirts go a long way. Yeah.
One of the cats from Ella, I forget who said it, from Ella Santa. It's like we're basically just traveling T-shirt salesmen. Who said that?
Literally. Yeah.
Was that Jake? I can't remember.
Said you guys try and be a little bit more stationary now and let Alex do the movement. You guys are trying to, which I thought was very cool. You're trying to make the audience comfortable. You guys already, regardless of whatever you're doing on stage, you guys are a little bigger. You guys have a presence. It just happens. Some people walk into a room and it's like, whoa, look who it is. So I thought that was cool that you guys have like, hey, let's pull back. Even though we want to go crazy on stage, let's let Alex have this medium. Alex, how were you able to embrace the freedom that they give you on stage? Because again, I'm an old school metal guy. I'm a reference everybody, but I think of Iron Maiden, like Bruce and Steve going at it. He's like, "Hold on, I'm the lead singer." He's like, "Get out of my way." He's like, "Bro, I'm gonna hit you." Get it. They had, even to this day, they're still in the middle, and you're kind of like, "Did they ever actually, finish this?" So, what was your approach, especially that your dad was a singer? What did you do to try and make your stage presence and your singing match? Excuse me, I'm stumbling over the words, sir. Having the training you've had, and I've dabbled a little bit. I haven't trained too much in vocals. I know how important the support is of being
Yeah. Yeah.
certain ways, certain movements if you really want to hit the note. So, what was that like for you trying to, come up with your on-stage persona?
Yeah, it's always an ongoing battle. It's funny because it's something that I've kind of gone back and forth on and talked with them about. Because, one half of me is like influenced by some pretty heavy stuff and also like, you know, Greg Puciato, Dillinger Escape Plan, right? The dude is just throwing down, stepping on people's heads, wrapping his neck with the microphone cord, and like just doing crazy antics and getting into it. And I want to do that during the heavy parts, and sometimes I kind of do during while I'm screaming. Other times it's like you're when you're doing the clean vocals, you want to be able to listen back and be happy with what you did, right? Like if you're moving around and you're not paying attention, sometimes that's when things can kind of start to go out of key, you're getting out of breath, all of that, and that's also kind of unfair to the fans too, who want to like, hear who are into the clean vocals and want to be able to hear that and see that aspect of the performance too. So you try to respect both aspects, right? The the liveliness of a live performance and also the actual musicality of it. So yeah, it's always a fucking tough balancing act, man, because Dild also doesn't write like he doesn't write like a lot of uh breaks in between like verses and choruses and stuff. So like I basically just don't breathe while I'm up there. Like I'm just com continually outward singing. Yeah.
This is what we were talking about for the live performances, man.
Yeah. Yep. And it's funny because we all have we go through cycles as far as like our on stage identity. And Steph and I, we've tried the throwdown and we watch video playback and we're like, that didn't do anything for us. It's that it just didn't do anything for the show. If anything, I just missed more notes. And I got sweatier. So our idea, and I jokingly said at the very beginning, we hired Alex because he's the best looking dude, which he is. Real talk. Our job is to back him up. We're down, a live guitarist, and we've embraced that. We're just like, fuck it, Pantera. And our job is to be strong for Alex. We are his gang. He's the leader, eyes on Alex. And so I love this phrase, stand and deliver. And one of my favorite performances we've ever had, it was at the Orpheum in Orlando, I believe. And the stage, the way that it was backlined, this was our Soulfly run. And we literally had maybe, 3 feet of standing room. Like my pedal board was like up like this. So, it looked like I was stepping on gas and brake pedals, change my shit. And I look back, I'm like, that was the toughest, most intense set and the best we've ever played on that whole run. So, looking at the return on just owning being big dudes, me big, move slow. And, that makes Alex look a lot cooler too. Cause if we're running around with our heads, cut off like a bunch of chickens with this style of music, it doesn't translate well for what we're trying to convey to, the folks who are there to enjoy the show.
I'm so grateful to hear how much love and support you guys give to the singer. I know it's all for one, one for all, but you really don't get people understanding like, hey, the band has its role. They kind of, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's like they depreciate their role in the band, not understanding like, no, you're the bass. This is vital. Don't take
Yeah.
away from that. We are here to support, but we need, just the way you were relaying, it tells me that not only are you guys especially with the music you're playing, because it's some difficult crap, bro. It's ridiculous. But you guys understand the dynamic. You guys are really in it together, but you know how to push the other forward. I really, really appreciate that. Speaking of music, the one song that really got me like, oh, y'all a different entity. Y'all are somebody I need to sit down. Speaking of the guitar earlier with you, Dalen, I was dumb enough to try and play what y'all were doing. I don't know what possessed me to even try in standard tuning. I felt stupid myself, but 12 Way War was the song that I hate to be the generic kid, like, oh, that's the one that might pop up first on YouTube, but it was so integral. There were very nuanced things that you mentioned earlier as far as the vocals. And I think I'm gonna put money on this one. I think this was the one where there were subtle moments where there would be a stop between the verses and in the chorus, and then there would be like one instrument would do something that you caught like that, and you were like, "Oh, that's such a good idea." I think there was like a two triplet roll on the ride cymbal for it, and I just really, really appreciated the musicianship of that song. Could you guys relate to me its crafting, like who came up with it, and what you got out of that particular song, because that's 100% up the alley of like when I mention you guys, like, hey, shut up, listen to this.
Yeah. Alex, you go first on this one. I want to hear your iteration of
I mean, dude, that song has so many killer riffs. I love the riffs in 12 Way War. But I mean, I think that the answer would probably be the same for any song. It's like Dill, he constructs the skeleton of, well, not even the skeleton. He creates the body of the song, right? He does all the guitars, he programs all the drums. Um, for our demos and pre-pros, he programs synths, all the instruments and stuff in Logic. And then so he sends me like these amazing sounding these amazing sounding pre-pros, and I do all the vocals, right? So I try to uh I've always described it as like I try to be additive, like not just mimic or follow along with what's already happening there because there's already so much, but I try to be additive to add another dimension. And also um how I've heard another progressive metal singer, I think it was his Barry Donegan, I think from Look What I Did. He describes it as like leading using the vocals to like lead people through the chaos of the song, and I always try to take that to heart, right? Like I try to write the most straightforward and catchy vocals that accentuate and add to the song that can like give people something to get a hook in their ear while they're also simultaneously digesting these like polyrhythms and like crazy stuff on the guitar. And then as the more you listen to the song, the more the layers unfold and the more you can digest and enjoy it. I think that's always that's always been an aspect of progressive metal and technical metal that I've enjoyed. And we're trying to do we're trying to do our own thing, and part of that is just having like the catchiest fucking vocals that we can on top of it, you know.
that's good, man.
Yeah,
Mine's a little less technical. If y'all have ever heard the song "Wicked Game" by Chris Isaac, I wanna fall in love with you. That one. If there's a heavy influence on the lead guitar on how those notes resolve, and like let it be known that's one of my favorite songs of all time, Wicked Game. And I just started coming up with the main lead when the whole band comes in. I was like, oh shit. I was like, all right, let's throw some drop A riffs over top. And I was like, all right, I'm listening to Soilwork this week. Let's see if I can make like a Soilwork type of groove. And then I'm like, how are we gonna turn this riff around? I'm like, all right, chromatic. I'm listening to some freaking necrophages at the same time. So it's really a lot of the songs that I write, it's like, what album am I spinning this week or this month? It's like, I want to write like that. And in practice, I'll try and write a song just like the one that I'm listening to and hear how horrible it is compared to, what I'm trying to recreate. And then I'll cherry pick those riffs and then I'll put it back in the grinder, flip it around. I'm like, all right, let's modulate here. Let's change the tempo, tuning. Let's try something different. And out the other end comes, these interesting riffs that at face value might not make sense at first. And that's why I'm really excited about the instrumentals, because you can hear like really what's going on with the guitars. And I listened back, I was like, what was I smoking right in that? It's very it's enjoyable to listen back and be like, I know what album I was listening to that one. But specifically 12 Way, I think that was the first song that I wrote for that EP. So that really set the standard of like, all right, we're going whimsical, we're going ethereal. The beginning, Stefan and I, with the clean guitars and all the synths and backing tracks, we wanted to try and convey like ticking clocks, for what reason, I don't know. We just thought it sounded cool. And build some soundscapes, and like I said, that really set the bar for how we wanted our tunes to be perceived, is like just cinematic, ethereal, heavy, but still with that progressive edge to it. And with Alex's progressive influences, mainly it just works because I'm more rock and roll, more, you know, pentatonic. And I appreciate you mentioned is like that I shred. It's just pentatonic, man.
Dude, well, okay, he says that, and then listen to the outro of 12-Way War, like the gent influence, like those fucking rhythms, dude. Like I still don't know what he's doing there. Like I still don't know how to count that. Like, and it took me years to be like, oh, this is the part. This is where that vocal comes in. But it's a fucking cool part. But like the
No, dude.
rhythms, they do not. They don't. You put on a 4x4 grid, like they're not gonna line up until like 12 measures down. And yeah, so
Let me
you,
tell you, we
you
play
can be
that shit
humble
on
about that,
site.
but that's prog to me, right? That's very modern prog right hand uh technical rhythms that
Mhm.
I think Dill maybe he doesn't appreciate as much because he's a drummer and it just comes naturally to him. And that's that's like the that's like the opposite of pentatonic, like
Hey, man.
boomer riffing, you know what I mean? Then but for drums, that's like yeah, tech it's very technical. It's like shredding arpeggios and shit like on drums to me. Like
PayTheDrummerDouble.com, baby. Pay the drummer double. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, let's not sleep on that. A lot of that influence, I do believe, your ability to do things on that timing happened to stems from drumming. I think that's because, when you start with a particular instrument, whatever the instrument is, something about it gets ingrained, and you kind of stick with it, even if you have another instrument that kind of, I always say, speaks to the soul. I make it as romantic and ridiculous as it sounds, but there's always that instrument. It's like, hey, this is our number one. And even if you started with something else, there's something about it you'll take to other instruments. So
Mhm.
I figured the timing thing had a lot to do with your ability to use the extremities in a different time. I do want to hit the new single, Neon Nailbomb. First off, we got to talk. How did you come up with the name? Because the press interview said that the song captures the raw, unstable beauty of the mind on the edge. And that could not have been stated perfectly, along with the music video you guys did with it, along with the musicality. Like I said, different, but still the same. Still have heard
Mhm.
pieces. It really was something that you sit down and you're like, this is the mastery that we get to embark on. This is a higher level of it. So first off, why neon nail bomb? That is
So this was back in 2022, winter of 22, a
the
month
COVID
before.
song.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, pretty much, man. And this was right before we are going on the road with Soulfly, and we were mid prep of just getting ready for that. So we put some recording on hold, everything. And I was like, and I saw this. It was a contest to write a song and submit it for the game Cyberpunk. And I was like, well, let's try and just dive into that. I've never written any sort of like synth wavy, that style of music before. I was like, let's just do it for fun. So I mean, we threw it together in like, I don't know, less than a couple weeks. And I just, whenever I listen to a song that I'm pre-proing or writing, I'd name it, dumbly. I'm like hamburger serve. It's like this is very bright sounding. It's going into submitting to a game that's about violence and like what can capture the idea of that game, like nail bomb, whatever.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that song didn't get selected to be in the game or anything like that. But we resurrected it. I was day drinking a year or so ago, and I was like, let me just try and transform this tune. And I sent the guys like a 20-second intro. I was like, hey, check this out. I don't know, maybe we should just dive back into it. And then that's when the interest was piqued again. Just hearing it with fresh skin, I think really revitalized everyone. And this was as I was writing our current LP. So there wasn't much going on as far as being in the studio. So that gave us a nice opportunity to kind of stretch our legs again and flex those recording muscles before we got back into the tracking for the big stuff. So, but and the idea for me when writing that tune was make it punchy. I mean, there was a criteria; it had to be under like 3 minutes, I think. So to make something that was punchy, catchy, and also captured the spirit of the game that I was trying to submit it to. And I'll hand it over to Alex after that because yeah, that was just me kind of just writing in the dark. I'm like, I think this sounds pretty cool. Let's send it.
Yeah, yeah. So Joel, he hashes out this super badass synthwave tune, and it has all these heavy synths and big open chords, and I wrote some vocals to it, and I just like really fell in love with the song. Like I was really proud of like that chorus and how everything like just had like this kind of chill, like somehow like an EDM but metal but Nine Inch Nails but Daft Punk vibe of like just like a mesh of all these different influences and still meeting the synthwave criteria. And uh I kept bringing yeah like I kept bringing the song back up.
You're the biggest proponent, man. You were like,
Yeah, like so
you
we
are
had
that shit.
months where we were waiting to hear back from the contest and whatever, and but I knew either way, like no matter what, I wanted to release it. And so we just didn't have time though until after um I guess one, a couple of our different tour legs, right? Like we were finally done recording the other pieces of Moon Burial, our last album, and then apart from touring, right? Like we finally were at a point where we're like, yeah, let's release this as a single, and yeah, I'm super happy we did. Like I spent like a ton of time making that music video and Unreal Engine and all of that. Like I was just like just trying to be a proponent of the song and make it happen. So yeah, I'm happy with how things turned out, and I think we're proud of it because it's a more digestible tune, but it has so much going on with it. I think that it's you know I think it has a little something for everyone, right?
Yeah, I think it checks the boxes
Yeah.
for what makes us half-heard voices, and that's what I'm most proud of because we love our guitar solos. We snuck one in there. There's breakdowns. There's enough melody that you can sing it, and it's not us trying to be cute or fancy with it. It was a very it's just it was a snapshot of us as a band in a different story, which I think is important to do, not just as Halford Voices as a band, but as artists. It's like, what fun is it just to corner yourself and be like, all right, we're just really gonna stick to this. That takes the buzz out of what makes artists feel inspired. That nerfs your potential capabilities. So I look at it as a creative success, but also as something that pushed us in a direction to appreciate that we could have our sound in a totally, well, not totally different genre, but it's something that we've never done before, and it still sounds like us, and that's huge for you know.
And it's still something that everybody can get into. Man, 91K in 3 months is very impressive for a
Yeah.
gamble. I did want to know because you did get your Xbox recently because you were so ingrained in music and you saying the monotony. It was just nice to kind of turn off your brain. I wanted to know
Mhm.
that whole entire thing of playing video games actually kind of helped with the new LP. And if Alex, if you got digits too, if you were you shooter on Call of Duty, like do you guys game? Do you guys take those influences? Like, what influences you guys when you go into the studio? Because I'm so pop culture sensitive that to this day, will make a reference that somebody be looking at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And it's like, well, I got to explain like this was in RoboCop, and then RoboCop had an appearance. But my idea is like the little things that inspire me, that influence me. I wanted to know if video games have done that because I had no idea it was based off on punk. That's like the coolest thing to find out that you were writing for the game.
Yeah, I'm definitely into video games. It's actually something I talk to the guys about. Like, I should probably do some more streaming, and I do both Xbox and PC. But I don't know. I play like almost everything. I'm really into recently. I'm really into the boomer shooters. Like, I played through Doom: The Dark Ages, which then led me to go back and play the older Dooms, like the originals. And there's a re-release of it actually on Game Pass right now that has like all the MIDI guitars are actually recorded guitars and drums, and so you have all the original soundtracks now redone with like real instruments, and it sounds badass. And then from there, I like went into this dive into like Duke Nukem like 3D, which is like one of the first games I remember playing, which is super inappropriate because I you can literally like you can literally like give money to strippers and shit in that game, and he's just totally vulgar, but he's just the most badass like 80s parody, action star icon, right? And uh, the game fucking still holds up. Like I went from Doom the Dark Ages to Duke Nukem 3D, and I was like, dude, this is just as fast paced and fucking fun as this act like super great. Like I was super happy with the gameplay of Doom the Dark Ages. I'm a big fan of id. Actually, I would for me like a dream job other than doing music would be working at id, like with the guys who make like Quake and Doom and stuff like that. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, yeah, I'm I'm into it. And actually, I've been trying that new RoboCop game, which is pretty badass. RoboCop's such a great movie, and it's such a like dry, sarcastic humor that's just like a parody of all of the uh, corporate bullshit uh, in America, and I think yeah, I think they've done like a really good job of like capturing his character and also letting you kind of expand his character, kind of like in a Fallout game. You have dialogue options, and it's fun to see how people react to Alex Murphy, RoboCop, and it's kind of touching, right? When he's like, "It is cruel what they did to me," like putting his brain in a robot after he died, and yeah, so I don't know. It's like it's the modern avenue for storytelling, I think. So I definitely appreciate it, and um, yeah, I would say like the Doom 2016, the Mick Gordon tracks, like those are definitely an influence on some of our guitar sound.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%, man. For me, I remember I picked up an Xbox months ago. I mean, I haven't owned a console or played video games in years because I was just obsessed with writing and practicing, and it got to a point where it wasn't enjoyable anymore, because teaching music all day and then coming home and playing music all day, it was the best way for me to get burnt out, and I felt like I was just doing it out of obsession. And for me to take a step aside and just be like, all right, I'm gonna play some RPGs. Like Avowed is by far one of my favorite games I've ever played. And shocker, I'm playing and I just really start getting into the music. And that was inspiring to me because I've always included or tried to infuse ethereal or cinematic epic backing tracks into our sound and have this nice convergence of kind of like mellow death metal meets more like of that metalcore sound. And, you know, the appreciation that I have for video games, it's definitely been exclaimed because just having so much time in the studio over the past couple of years and not playing anything and not really, like you said, Alex, it's the best form of modern storytelling. It was this different avenue for me to experience that, not just through music, because I feel like everything that we write that is a storytelling experience, even if it's just like a 3 minute 30-second song. Um, but yeah, I mean, right now I'm hooked on Balatro. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that game.
What is it?
It's called Balatro. It's a like roguelike deck builder based off of poker, and you have all these
Oh, it's a
different.
card game.
Oh my
Okay.
god, I
All
love
right.
it! I love it.
Wow,
Yeah.
there's like 70 cards on this screen. It looks
Oh, dude,
crazy. Okay.
I love it. And but it's funny because after I ran through Avowed multiple times. Tried different characters, all this stuff, different. Just choosing your story differently. Hey, that's a mantra right there. Choose your story differently. I'm finally back to where I can just play Balatro for like 30 minutes to an hour and just shut my brain off and kind of get recharged to go back into practicing, go back into writing with with fresh legs and not feel like, oh my God, I'm practicing just because I feel the need to, or it's like I feel the need to get better. It's because I want to now. It's like it's this quick disconnect. And I feel like getting older, um, you have to appreciate and take time for yourself, even if it's away from something that you set your life goal to be fulfilled with. And as much as music is a part of my life every day and every second, I don't, you know, I'm always thinking about music. I'm always thinking about the band. It's good to shut that down for a little bit so there's a greater appreciation when you do finally get back into it. You do finally get back on the road and you're like, oh my God, yes, this is why I'm doing it. It's a greater appreciation for the entity itself.
Dude, I would to add to that, like I feel especially like as a vocalist, right? Like part of what a musician does is like you profess, right? You're conveying your observations of the world and your outlook. And I think it's part of keeping that relevant, right? Is also being an observer and consuming media, consuming art, and like being active, right? Like being engaged and active in your world, right? That also keeps you um that helps build you as an artist. So like for me, I'm always like different aspects of storytelling, different aspects of like history or literature, like things like that. I'm always looking into those for like different aspects and inspirations. And yeah, definitely like for this last album is all about like psychology and alchemy and yeah, a whole slew of like historical references and yeah, so always looking ways to expand the horizons, right? And use that in part of building our craft as artists.
Need to start streaming because the black in the background, start playing your music while you're playing the games, bro. You might like what
Thank you. Yeah, it's my new studio. You can't really tell because it's all black acoustic panels, but this is where I've been doing all the recording. Got my mic and everything over here, and yeah.
fantastic, man. But I wanted to know what the schedule was looking for you guys with the LP coming out, with you guys continuing this year, because you really have been making the rounds as far as touring and basically building up the band's presence in the world. So I wanted to know what the LP schedule is like. Can you relay the name of the LP and etc.?
Absolutely. I know we're gonna approach it a little differently as far as how we're gonna release the tracks. And you can expect one of the singles, and I'm not gonna say the name until we sign the dotted line when it's ready to be signed off. But you can expect a single and a music video coming out before Thanksgiving. So that is very exciting
Write that
for
down,
us.
write that down. He said before Thanksgiving.
I know, man. Hey, I'm making the timer starts now. Alex and I talked about that before this call. It's like we're willing it to happen. It has to happen. And our touring schedule last year was absolutely nutty. I mean, I don't know how many days we toured or were on the road, but we went to Japan. We played all West Coast, East Coast, South, Midwest. It was just absolutely insane. So for this year, it was nice to take our time and really put our life force into this album. So when we do release it, we don't feel the pressure. It's like we got to do something now. It's like no, we are doing this the best we can. We're all working as much as we can to get the resources to make it unbelievably sounding incredible. So all I got to say is there will be one track before Thanksgiving. It has to happen. Beyond that, it's all a gift. It's all a gift to me whenever that
Yeah.
stuff comes out.
I will say for sure. Okay, so the name of the first song that's to come out is called Azure Tongue, and
There's
basically
the
with
battle
that,
line there.
well, what are we haven't decided exactly on the album title. We're proposing maybe calling it Azure Tongue, which I think captures basically the theme of the album, which is it came to me in a dream where basically this philosopher, alchemist type guy is doing all this research and basically he finds the he discovers a language that's a direct correlation to matter. So basically, language that can control reality, and it's kind of all like a metaphor for self-realization, and reaching that fifth element, right? In alchemy, the philosopher's stone, which is was really all about yeah, self-actualization and becoming more than you currently are. And yeah, so it came to me in the dream, and it's like I wrote out the story. So the whole album's a concept album. There are 8 songs. Um, I'm almost done tracking the last song. Everything else, like right now, it's just the technicality of like sending the stuff off to producers and editors and getting everything mixed and mastered. Like that all takes time. We're all working, full-time jobs and stuff, and in between all this to make ends meet. So it's crazy that it's already August because we've been talking about this album since like literally like we got off tour last year, and it just like, dude, I'm tracking every night. I'm practicing and tracking, and then any spare time I have like working on this stuff, arranging harmonies, arranging planning and writing lyrics and all that. Like it's just a whole album is like a monumental effort, right? Whenever no matter what. Um, Even for people who, this is what they do full time. It's I just can't believe it's already August because this is when we all said it would be done already, like at the beginning of this year. But
It's hard out here for a pimp, man. It's
yes.
gonna be 2 years in December that like the genesis of this album started. Like the first note in Logic of like save track as Halford Voices LP2. It's crazy. 2 years, man. Like unbelievable.
But it flies by. And sometimes it's not necessarily you love. I don't know what it is, but when I'm at work and it's bad, it doesn't fly by. I don't know what people are talking about. I understand something you love and you're passionate about, though. That's when the time flies. And it does become a passion project. It's sometimes a painful one. You guys, speaking of touring, I know the stories of you guys having to like, work in that little section of the van where everybody sets up and then phone calls start.
That's me. Yep. Yep.
Oh my dude. I gotta say,
Dill works remote too, actually. Yeah, that's right. You're on
yeah,
some phone calls and
it's the funniest thing because Alex and I, we were in the we're called the data center in the van, and I would always take pictures of us working and send it to my girlfriend. And on phones now, it's just like, remember this day or remember photos just like this. And it's nothing but me and Alex with our headsets on, just like with in front of 5 different things, like going through the desert in Nevada, like it's just the funniest things. Like, dude, that's how we live. That's how we tour. We work in the meantime, ice water, ice water performances, get back in the van and head out. But yeah, those are very fond memories for me, man.
All the people you've toured with, the one that I really wanted to ask you about was all the pretty things. We had Logan on, and man, he doesn't waste words. He's such good energy, showing the love for the band. I know.
I miss my boys.
I want to
um,
know what your experience was like touring with them guys, because again, I had maybe 50 minutes with the man, and I was so inspired to see how he handles life. Very straightforward, very healing spirit he has.
The point that we really bonded with them, and I think like started becoming close friends. It was in the green room at the Masquerade in Atlanta, and we're all trying to figure out where we can get some food. And it was just like the perfect moment, the perfect climate for us just to really connect with each other. And even before that, they were gracious. And we're the new kids on the block. We didn't know anybody on that run. Um, but just being able to play, and this goes for all those bands on that run, but just being able to play and kind of look up to all of those guys, as far as their performance, their tunes, their tones, man, like just sweethearts. It was the most enjoyable run that I've ever done. And it sucked because when we found out, or we looked forward for them to be on the other 2 legs of the Alisana run and they weren't gonna be on it, it was like, it's like, oh, we just became such good friends, and like now you're gone. So ever since then, we'll send, I text Worth and Logan. I'm like, all right, when we hitting the road again, and this is going on a year, and so hopefully soon, we'll be sharing the stage with them again. Not just because they're amazing musicians, but they're just incredible, down to earth, like inspirational friends. I get that now.
Dude, just such nice guys, and yeah, you're not kidding. Like Logan is such an intelligent, well-spoken, like personable dude. It was super cool of them to have me on stage to sing one of their songs with them, like just chime in on some harmonies and all that. Yeah, we're definitely hoping to tour with them again sometime.
Yeah, man.
I wasn't able to figure out how the band established the name Have Heard Voices because I hear that and it's kind of like, especially in the time period America's going through right now, it kind of that's the perfect title. That's the perfect strike of like, hey, you're listening, but you're not listening. It was a perfect.
Mhm.
I wanted to know what inspired the band name.
Yeah, man. I love this one because it's so easy. Stefan, our bassist, he's a big Trekkie, and he was watching an episode, and it was just a line on the show that said something about half-heard voices. And this is back in 2019, and at that time, Steph and I, we've been in so many different bands at that point that like almost got to a point where we're gigging actively and consistently, and then the bands fall apart. So it was more of a testament to, people have heard our music before in all these different outfits, but it was just like kind of like dismissed just as quickly. So half heard voices really fit because it was like we're just these misfits who never um, saw it through with these bands that unfortunately ended early. And plus it's a Star Trek reference, but to your
Yeah.
your point, that's a good commentary on the current state of things, and it is interesting to kind of look at it like that.
Guys, I always end these with the most important question. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh man, this was years ago when I was gigging with Stefan up at Berkeley, and I got to I went to the last few minutes of a Guthrie Govan clinic, and it was at the Q&A section. Fortunately, I didn't get to hear him play, but he ended with this, that all music ever wanted to do is make you happy. And I was like, oh, I don't get that yet. But through the years, and as far as me teaching students, and like that truly means something to me now, because being able to tour, which is something as a kid I never thought I would do to any level. I got to remember that like all I wanted to do was play guitar and drums because it made me happy. And now what Guthrie Govan said at that clinic years back, it resonates with me, and I try and live by that. I try and subscribe to that philosophy, and it's hard at times because of pressures with myself, pressures with putting resources towards the album, and I have to remind myself that all music I ever wanted to do was make me happy, and that's why I'm still doing it. So that would be my biggest advice to anyone at any age. If you're feeling frustrated or if you're feeling lost in your identity as a musician, even if you're questioning if you should have stayed in nursing school, all music I ever wanted to do is make you happy.
If I sorry, I'm like going through my notes trying to find I know I have different quotes that are insanely helpful for me to for inspiration. Oh, here's a good one. We are healthy only to the extent that our ideas are humane. Kilgore Trout, which is uh, an alter ego of um, Kurt Vonnegut. His yeah, it's like his one of his fictional characters that is actually him. Great writer.
Absolutely.
Wait, is that the cat who wrote about leaks, referring leaks as mirrors?
Mirrors as leaks into
Right,
other
yeah.
universes. Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah. Slaughterhouse 5. Yeah.
that book fucked me up,
Breakfast
man.
of
It was
Champions.
wild.
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't that bad? I heard good things about Slaughterhouse. What?
Just like the just like the
He means
thinking
like it
aspect.
blew his mind. Yeah, like it was crazy.
Yeah, not like, oh my God, I can't walk straight anymore. It's just like thinking of the ideas and the things that were talked about. It's like, okay, I'm used to reading comic books and like National Geographic, you know? Like,
He set you up perfect for it, man. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Half Heard Voices. You can go stream now, Neon Nailbomb. It is on all major platforms, YouTube, back to their Spotify, which is of the same name, Half Heard Voices. You can't mess it up on Instagram. You can't mess it up on Facebook. It's ready to go. Gentlemen, it was an absolute joy, a pleasure. And man, you guys are some smart cookies, man. I'm inspired.
man,
Write a book.
it's a compliment of the highest regard being on here. So thank you for having us.
Dude, thank you. Thank you for your time and having us, man. We appreciate it.
And as everybody knows, be smart, be mindful, rock on. As always, Ninja out.
Hey, y'all. Dylan from Halford Voices. We're on the John, the Ninja podcast, and we write music for big, ugly dudes like us.
You made it sound like we're on the John, like
Oh,
the
no, I was
toilet.
kidding.
No, that's
Let
it.
me
That's the one.
that's the one.
I love it.
Woo, baby, you listen to John the Ninja. Oh, your ears are about to go on a vacation. John the Ninja's got what you need.